Hello and welcome to CityView. It's been quite a while, so I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Larry Liuzzo, and I'm here with Mayor Koch. Mayor, Happy New Year to all of you at home.
It has been a while. It's been happy and healthy New Year to everybody out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean nothing's been happening. There's certainly been a lot of activity, a lot of progress all over the city, particularly to the downtown. I think we'll kick it off this most recent city council meeting, the vote on the Hancock lot.
Yeah, very important vote.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I'm grateful to the city council for the wisdom they saw in this project.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of new councilors, so we still have that same vision for downtown Quincy that we created a number of years ago. We went out with almost 30 community meetings several years ago about the downtown and what we were proposing, what the vision was. And consistently at all those meetings, people didn't get hung up in what it was going to be, what it was going to look like, how tall the building was going to be, how dense it was going to be. The question to me most commonly asked was, when are you going to get it done? Mm-hmm. Because the downtown's been talked about for a long, long time.
Right. And
there wasn't a whole lot down there to attract people. I mean, with all due respect, it's been a mixture of some there's some good retailers down there, good restaurants down there. We've seen that actual momentum growing. But if you go back 10 years, there wasn't a lot of stuff down there for people to come for. I mean, a lot of sub shops and nail places,
Sure.
and they have their place. But do we need 30 of them? So that was the most commonly themed comment I heard over and over was when are you going to get it going? So we've seen west of Chestnut done. We've seen the Ross Garage come down. We're seeing the buildings, the Galvin's building, the condominiums going up. And now the proposal that Peter O'Connell has presented to us for the Hancock lot portion has been approved in the first step, which allows then Mr. O'Connell to go and get his financing in place and hopefully lock it in soon, because interest rates have been talking about moving. Interest rates go up some. That has clearly an effect on the market and investors. And I just want to reiterate the proposal that Mr. O'Connell's come forward with, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. People saying, oh, it's a giveaway, you give it on the parking lot. He's actually paying $1.9 million for 13,566 square feet. Think about that. That's less than 3 house lots in the average house lots of our city. So I want to put that in perspective. Some of that is cash. Some of that is he's building a public park and he's going to maintain it and the value to that. That's part one. Part two is people saying he's not paying any taxes. That's another misnomer. We're using a different formula for him to pay what would be taxes each and every year. And that formula is one of those formulas that is one of the tools in the tool chest we have to help incentivize development, because it allows the developer to count on what that number is each year. There's a formula rather than the ad valorem rate, which goes up and down with values. This gives them an opportunity to plan accordingly going forward and budget appropriately. So he's going to be paying significant money every year for that building, and I think we're in the $400,000 range. Additionally, he's paying toward the parking spaces that would be as part of the new garage we've been proposing that will be coming forward to the council soon. He'll be paying toward that as well. So there's this notion out there that there's some kind of giveaway. It's absolutely ridiculous, wrong, as the president would say, wrong. The reality is he's paying significant money. We're getting a 15-story building, which when you have X amount of acreage, and there's about 5 acres in the Hancock lot, you don't want to build a 4-story building across the lot. You want to go up. The density is important to maximize the real estate value. I think it was, who the heck said it? Will Rogers said it one time, buy land because they ain't making any more of it. We're an old city. We're a built-out city, so there's not a lot of vacant land around. So this allows us to maximize the value in the downtown. And why is that important? And it's going to go back to a very fundamental point here. I've said from day one that the downtown has to pay for itself, that we're not going to put on the tax payers of the city the improvements in the downtown. And I want to frame that because it's important for people to understand that the downtown for years was actually a loser for what we were taking in taxes and what it was costing us to provide services and maintain order and police activity, et cetera. It was a loser for us for many, many years. The reality is the taxpayers today, before we went down this road, would have been responsible for paying for the demolition of the Ross Garage, would be responsible for paying for all the infrastructure improvements down there, which are badly needed, whether it's Cottage Ave, Hancock Street, Chestnut Street, Ryan Parkway, Cliveden Street, the parking way, all of those roads and all of the infrastructure is old and antiquated. And those are all owned by us, the citizens of Quincy. So the liability there is pretty tremendous. So we're removing the liability of the improvements and maintenance of those areas and putting it directly on what we call the DIF, District Improvement Financing, which allows us to take the new taxes coming in from the development, the new values, separating that out, and then using that money then to pay for those infrastructure improvements, including a garage we're going to be going forward with. There's 453 spaces in the Hancock lot. Today, we're going to be building a garage for about 700 vehicles, which is needed both for the development and for the uses that we have in the downtown. And it will be a first-class garage with all the amenities, well-lit and very secure, and allow people to come and find a place to park and enjoy the downtown for whatever the purpose. Whether you're going to dinner at one of the great restaurants or you have some other business in the downtown, whether it's the courthouse or doctors or lawyers, wherever offices you may be going to. So I think it's just important to remind people, and I know I get sick of hearing myself talk about some of these things over the years, but you know, people move in the city, don't understand, you know, we're talking the last 9, 10 years we've been working on this. So I want to remind people the vision hasn't changed. The downtown is going to be a mixture of residents, of commercial, restaurant, retail, with great opportunity for people to come enjoy. Hopefully, we're looking at a major commercial building that we're dealing now with Fox Rock on. I know there's been some things in the newspaper. We're just starting that program, starting that process. So that's important. LBC, which is the group that purchased the block between Cottage Avenue heading south on the easterly side, which backs up to the Hancock lot. They have purchased a number of parcels there and are moving tenants and get it ready for demolition so they can build what they're proposing, which includes an LDA, a land disposition agreement, because we want them to push the building back to give us wider sidewalks. For them to do that, they got to push into the Hancock lot. So we're looking at some land swaps. In addition, on the corner, where next to the Nava, the old Hancock tobacco place, on that corner, we're opening that up. It will be kind of an atrium feel. It'll be glassed in, and they will build that and maintain it, they being LBC. And again, this is all part of the negotiations of the LDA. Some of this may change. This is what we're going in with to the Quincy City Council. And so that'll allow us a direct connection to the heart of the square, to the new garage, and having some coverage gets out of the weather in the winter months, although so far so good.
So far, yes.
This winter, but you know, obviously it's nice to have some places people can get out of the weather to make that connection to the garage. So that's an important piece. So that's the next phase with the City Council, is the LBC LDA, which is a land disposition agreement, so we can put that piece together, and it's going to be retail on the first floor with residential. They originally talked about residential and a hotel. The hotel market isn't quite there yet here. Hotels like to wait to the end. They don't want to be in the middle of construction before they locate, so that's still up in the air. It looks like it'll be more heavily residential above those retail areas. And then between that LBC area, or that block where the LBC controls, to the garage, to the O'Connell building, there's going to be, we're going to call Market Square. There's going to be some beautiful public space in there that perhaps, you know, the farmers market may move back down to the downtown for use, but it'll be a lively area. So it's not just, you're not just looking at a parking garage, parking facility, but we're tying in amenities and livening up the square and using these public areas to our benefit for everybody to enjoy. You got to keep in mind that what's very different about Quincy Center going forward is that there's going to be a neighborhood there. It's going to be a whole new neighborhood. We've already started with west of Chestnut with the Galvin building and the proposed LBC. So there's going to be people living there 24/7, unlike the old days of you go down there at 6 o'clock at night, it was dead. You know, now that's changed because we have Alba and 16C and Fuji and Katie's and Fat Cat and all the Iron Furnace, all these great places. So that is far more lively, and that's only going to get even more lively going forward as we do this. So
Why was this most recent vote on this project? Why was this so important, making sure we go forward with the progress downtown?
There'll be a number of votes relating to this because it's kind of all interwoven, the garage pieces
Sure.
and what makes sense. And what we had proposed with Streetworks was that when we had the master developer in town, the master developer would build the garage and then would buy it back. Now that makes a ton of sense for a lot of reasons. We've done the same thing here. Peter O'Connell's building a 15-story building. His foundation wall is going to be against the foundation wall of the new garage.
Okay.
We got to go through a crazy public bidding process. You could have one contractor here and his contractor and not sequencing properly, not getting along, and then the project will stall. We get into potential litigation. So it makes sense to have one contractor do the whole piece. It'll be far smoother. You're not fighting and arguing over laydown areas.
Sure.
And so that was part of the original vision anyway, but we're executing it now with the O'Connell development, which I think is called Chestnut Place. You know, the other thing that I should mention with I guess there was some remarks made the other night at the city council that, you know, we're just dealing with some locals here. It'd be nice to have some bigger names come in. Well, Peter O'Connell is no local yokel. I mean, first of all, in Quincy, they built State Street South. They built Marina Bay. They did Quarry Hills. They built a number of buildings in and around Quincy Center. They have big holdings in Denver, Florida, Ireland. You know, they're a big deal.
Sure.
But Peter O'Connell loves the city of Quincy. Whatever people think of developers or Peter O'Connell, the O'Connells, you know, we're all fair game in this world. But the reality is he loves the city. He's built quality stuff. They maintain what they own. This is in my view, this is kind of a legacy building for Peter. He wants to be part of the downtown. He wants to do his part to contribute. And of course, you know, long term, Peter's no kid, and he knows it. I tell you, this is really about the grandkids. This isn't about a developer from out of town coming in, building something and flipping it. You know, we're seeing that with the Art Deco. You know, the Art Deco is being flipped already. This is really a very large family-owned company located, based in Quincy, that are doing the right thing for their city. So, you know, it's going to be a high end. We've talked a little bit about workforce housing, affordable housing, you know, market rate housing, and this will be a high end rent housing. I know some people complained about, but you know, we need the mix. We need people down there that have money to spend to go to dinner and go to the shops and spend some of that disposable income. You know, Marina Bay is a good example. Marina Bay is not affordable. Marina Bay contributes tremendous taxes to the city and brings tremendous value to our economy with the boardwalk and the whole bit. And that is a place. You know, there are buildings, the NeighborWorks is just, you know, we've supported and endorsed it before the city council to build the Watson down on East Howard Street across from the shipyard, which is going to be 140 units of moderate and some low income, a mixture of housing units that helps us meet our workforce housing. There'll be other projects that will include units for workforce housing. You know, I got a kick out of actually Reverend Bennett, who's a wonderful man who serves on the Affordable Housing Trust Committee, complaining and concerned about public money being used in the downtown. Well, come on, we've used public money to fix his church here across the street, the United First Parish Church, with community preservation money and all. I think we have to sometimes get out of whatever our subjective angle is and tunnel vision is, look at the big picture. That the big picture here is creating a viable new downtown, which will be heart of the city, a place where the public can come and enjoy and you do commerce and you know, bring this family out for dinner. Be a place we'd be proud of. It'll be a place that will become an attraction for our tourist industry. I mean, we've got tremendous assets. I don't have to repeat them. But the new Hancock Adams Green is going to bring those assets together in a most beautiful way that becomes what I say is the living room now for the downtown.
Sure.
So all of this is coming together as part of the big vision. On the parking way side, we're talking about commercial property, commercial buildings going up, which pay more in taxes, provide more jobs. But it's another piece to it. You know, from day one, we always said it's going to be a mixture, but to some degree, the market drives where you're at. The commercial market was flat for a number of years, and a good example of that is in the State Street South area. I think it was 5 years ago, Campanelli bought 2 office buildings for combined $9 million. Renovated them, spent $30 million. They sold one of the buildings for $30 million. So the market is back now commercially, so we're seeing that resurgence. We've had the residential market right along because of our proximity to Boston, the Red Line, a safe city, our school system, our terrific community assets, natural resources, however we want to describe it. It's all here. So that continues to sell itself in the city. But all of the commitments we've made with the federal money, state money, I remind people of that. We've leveraged so many dollars from both the federal and state government. And, you know, and I thank former Congressman Delahunt, current Congressman Lynch, you know, Senators Markey Warren for their help. You know, the dean of our delegation, Ron Mariano, along with Senator Keenan and Representative Ayers, Representative Chan, and Representative Hunt. They've all been an integral part of helping keeping things moving because we could never do it purely on the backs of even the new development because there's a lot of money involved in infrastructure. So bringing it all together, the vision is the same. It hasn't changed. The players have changed, and that's common in projects like this. Some people come in, some people go out, you know, we're going to continue to see further transactions happening in the downtown, and we're very eager to be working with Rob Hill's team with Fox Rock, and we've already had some successful meetings, and we're moving the ball down the field on the commercial end. So exciting stuff. I just hate when people grab on to misinformation, and they don't know it's misinformation necessarily, but you know, somebody starts something and gets out there, and today with social media, all of a sudden, you know, it's rolling down the hill, and you're trying to stop that stuff. So I want to reiterate to people that, you know, the development in the downtown pays for the improvements in the downtown. That the O'Connell program is paying top dollar for the land, and will be paying top dollar. It's a different way to pay it in those taxes, but they're paying taxes, significant taxes. So I think that's important to remind people. And I'd also encourage people to engage. That, you know, we call this office. We have a great team, and Bill Gary's been the point person, but anyone in the office can speak to the issues. Planning department, working hard on it. And all of these things, by the way, have created and/or sustained jobs. Let's keep that in mind. Though the unemployment numbers have dropped, which we're all pleased about, there's still a lot of folks that you know, haven't found work, have been underemployed, and this is another economic piece to it that, you know, we don't really think about, but it's there. Whether they're construction jobs or whether they're retail jobs, we've created a number of new jobs and sustained hundreds of jobs with what we've been doing to date. So just like to reiterate that. So again, I want to thank the City Council. I know they had to do the due diligence, and we bring in the best experts. You know, and the council wanted their own counsel, Jim Shea. We have him on board, and you know, Pam, you know, is unbelievable. Pam McKinney and you know, Craig Seymour from RKG. I mean, you go down the line with the experts we bring in, because we vet everything. You know, sometimes I know that some of this is politics, but I answer the same people the City Council does, and that's the people of the city. And we're going to negotiate a damn good deal for the city of Quincy. And just like we do with Streetworks, unfortunately, we fire them, but we didn't lose anything. In fact, we gained tremendous market. You know, they help us put us on the map, if you will, market visibility in the whole bit. But we didn't lose a dime. They lost millions. Sorry that they did, but we didn't lose anything. That's our job. So I concur with the council. We got to protect the taxpayer. You know, we're all on the ballot together in that sense. I'm not on the ballot this year, thank God. I'm grateful for that. But the reality is we answer to the same constituents. And we got to keep this program moving. We've got momentum. The market goes up and down. You got to take advantage of that window when the economy is there. We have that opportunity now. We got to keep it moving. So I recognize the councils are part-time. They all have full-time jobs. They don't have the kind of time that we have to put into it. So they have to take our word. And I appreciate it. I was told some of the comments made the other night by some of the councils, and including you know, Councilor Finn. He's been around 16 years. So he saw efforts from other administrations as well as ours and where we need to be. And I thought he brought, from what I heard, he brought some great comments to the table about where we've been and where we're going, and kind of put things in perspective. I mean, not everybody is going to get exactly what they want necessarily, or what they see as the vision. but there's a reality too. There was no line here of people to develop. You know, after we fired Streetworks, a number of developers came into this office, and some of them were international, foreign, money's coming in, and they wanted me to give them the Hancock lot, and then they would develop it. And I said the same to everybody, get out and buy some property, and then you're a player.
Right.
Well, that's what's happening. And Galvin's brought property, LBC has brought a number of parcels and property, and they're players, and we're making things happen. There was no line down here unless you were giving it away.
Right.
You know, there are many at the table. And most of them, you know, wanted to build the 5 of a podium. Well, again, we only have so much land, so you want to maximize the land, and we want to go up. I don't want a 15-story in Beechwood Knoll or Marymount,
Right.
but we're in the center of, you know, a dense commercial district. This is where the height belongs. We had those debates, and again, for the benefit of the newer councilors, we had those debates. We had zoning committees, we had public hearings. We settled on 15-story by right, 20 by special permit. That doesn't mean everybody agreed with it, but we've had these debates. So we should be beyond the zoning arguments and some of those tools we created through the special legislation to allow us to keep this program moving. The vision is the same, the players are different, but the mix is the same. We got to keep it going. So again, thank you to the City Council for their endorsement the other night, their approval, and I look forward to working with them on the garage, on the LBC, and a number of other programs that are coming.
I mean, I
fast
don't
and
know
furious.
if anyone's been able to walk downtown right now, but the restaurants, all the new restaurants, and even the old restaurants that have been here, they're all bustling with people in there and enjoying what's here and what's more to come. Essentially.
Absolutely, then there is more to come. I mean, which is awesome. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the name of the game. You know?
Sure.
So it's progress. It's really
It is.
good progress, and I've spent some time with some of the owners down there, and they're making big investments. You know, and they're taking risks as you do in the world
Absolutely.
we live in, and hopefully they'll be rewarded for that.
Here we go.